Chairperson, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. As it is my first international conference that I am given the opportunity to speak to in my capacity as the Executive Secretary of the International Conference on the Great Lakes region, allow me to introduce myself as follows. I am João Caholo, a geoscientist and ambassador with proven experience in the extractive sector, both soft and hard rock geology, reservoir management, and downstream trading, including institutional reforms and restructuring. As my title indicates, I have a combination of experience from both the scientific and the diplomatic realms. As an experienced geoscientist, I am fully aware of what the Great Lakes region is known for: the paradox of plenty. Indeed, it is a fact that the Great Lakes region is endowed with substantial amount of natural resources, which are in great demand on the global market. Just as illustration, I can simply ask you to name any extractive resource you know, and my answer will always be the same. We have it in the Great Lakes region. And in most cases, I will add by saying that we have it as one of the world's biggest reserve. Nevertheless, due to the abundance of these precious natural resources, the region's recent history has been marked by the disastrous effects of armed conflicts, which have seriously undermined the socio-economic well-being of the population. The major challenge has been the missing link between the supply chain of natural resources and the formal economy of the International Conference of the Great Lakes region member states, due to the exploitation and trade which unfortunately in some parts of the region are conducted illegally. As a solution to this predicament, our forefathers, the founders of the International Conference on the Great Lakes region, realized that the illegal coexploitation of natural resources was one of the root causes of insecurity and instability caused by armed groups in the region. Consequently, I repeat, they devised a comprehensive and collective approach to contribute to the restoration and consolidation of sustainable peace, security and stability by signing in December 2010 the Lusaka Declaration, which instituted the regional initiative on the fight against the illegal exploitation of natural resources. As one of the practical ways of implementation of the initiative is the certification of exports of tin, tantalum, tungsten, and gold after being proven to have not been in the hands of illegal miners and traders by conducting mine sites inspections and tracking the supply chains of these minerals within the region. The Great Lakes region has acquired substantial capacity to embrace the EU conflict minerals regulation. It is therefore my appeal to the European Union to recognize the efforts so far made by the region in the establishment of responsible mineral supply chains and consider the experience and lessons learned since 2010. In furtherance of the experience acquired in the implementation of the regional initiative, the region has drawn some key lessons that we can share here. As you are aware, the US regulation on conflict minerals, the Dodd-Frank Act, which exclusively targets the Great Lakes region, was enforced without prior consultations with the leaders of this region. Consequently, a de facto embargo was imposed on the minerals of the Great Lakes region, leading to disastrous socio-economic impact both at the mining community and national levels of our member states. The International Conference on the Great Lakes region therefore calls for a permanent and mutually beneficial dialogue between the region and the European Union. It is true that the International Conference on the Great Lakes region is a member of the European Partnership for Responsible Minerals, but there is need to have a bilateral dialogue cooperation between the two institutions. You may note that the Great Lakes region is the pioneer of the campaign for responsible minerals supply chains in collaboration with the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD. After about 10 years of mineral due diligence implementation and a number of challenges can be highlighted with regards to the sustainable operation for the attention of all the stakeholders at the downstream side of the mineral supply chains in general and the European Union in particular. These underline the importance for vertical and horizontal integration of due diligence efforts through intensified collaboration among 3T and gold supply chain initiatives, including both industry and government stakeholders. First, implementation of due diligence activities costs money. Care has to be taken that such financial burdens are shared in an equitable way among all stakeholders along the supply chain, such that mining activities in the region, including artisanal mining, can be economically sustained and continue to contribute revenues for development in the region, while also providing tangible assurance for international business actors to engage in the region with confidence. This requires cost transparency by the various due diligence initiatives. Streamlining and harmonizing due diligence implementation saves money. Different initiatives share a responsibility to engage on questions of alignment and mutual recognition of their activities. Challenges may exist, but they need to be addressed in a constructive fashion. To support this process, the International Conference on the Great Lakes region has initiated dialogue with the Responsible Minerals Initiative for purposes of finding mutually beneficial ways of reducing costs associated with our respective third-party auditing schemes. Significant steps have been undertaken to manage conflict risks of 3T minerals produced in the Eastern DRC and neighboring countries. However, further progress is urgently needed in order to achieve the same degree of progress on artisanal gold from the region. The International Conference on the Great Lakes region recently developed a regional strategy for ASM gold. International cooperating partners, particularly destinations and transit countries of gold from the Great Lakes, are therefore encouraged to cooperate for effective implementation of the strategy by developing and introducing mechanisms promoting responsible sourcing of ASM gold from the region. In-region sourcing of 3T minerals and gold can only proceed in a sustainable fashion when striving to firmly establish a level playing field across the Great Lakes region, different countries. International actors are strongly encouraged to facilitate market access for 3T minerals and gold through establishing short, closed pipe supply chains of limited scope or the pilot scale introduction of due diligence and traceability in certain regions is an important first step. However, such efforts should not stop there, as this may cause local mineral market disequilibrium within or between the region's countries, promoting opportunities for exploitative actors. We need to provide feasible solutions for the whole region without risking to marginalize small producers. This requires concentrated and coordinated action by national governments and the industry. Efforts need to be considered in order to progressively scale up and expand the scope of different due diligence initiatives. A regional framework is required to provide guidance on harmonized, manageable costs for private sector financed due diligence implementation to avoid disequilibria between neighboring countries. For all these processes to bear fruits, the International Conference on the Great Lakes region and its member states need to be supported. The international community, as well as the end-user countries and the in-between countries, must also accept and fulfill their responsibilities. Selling gold, for example, outside the Great Lakes region must not remain as easy and uncontrolled as it is today. Fair burden sharing of the responsibility for turning ASM gold into a resource for development must include all actors and countries along the artisanal gold trade chain. I thank you for your attention.